Welcome back to Not So Grand Garage, a late night edition. We're working on the 300 SD again. We're going to call this part 2 of the cooling system rework, as we're going to ditch this near 40-year-old radiator, as I think it's a little calciumed up on the inside, but we'll see. I'll go into the details of what's going on, but yeah, let's get started. So, after getting this car back out on the road, it would run really good and stay cool for the most part. Get it out on the highway where it's under a bit of a load and temperature would start to creep up. It would never overheat per se, but it's running a good bit hotter than it should. Thermostat should be opening around 83, 85 degrees Celsius, and I was seeing temperatures over 100. I know all the air is out of the system, and I know the thermostat was working because at low speed, I could actually watch the temperature gauge come down and come up a little bit, come back down as the thermostat would open and close. Once it gets a good load on it though, I think this radiator just isn't keeping up anymore. And I have a feeling that's got to do with the green antifreeze and most likely tap water that's been in this system for the last 10 or 15 years. So this 30-year-old or 39-year-old now Bear factory radiator is coming out. We've got a new Nissan's replacement radiator for it. I assume that's how you pronounce it, which they're apparently the go-to for an aftermarket replacement for these 300 SDs. And a Molly Bear OEM thermostat and a faucet replacement coolant temperature sending unit. So hopefully we rule all the issues out and just do it all at one time this time. But let's dive right in. So since I just filled this cooling system up with GO5 and distilled water, what I'm going to try to do is clamp both the upper lower hoses and this hose right here, if I've got enough clamps handy, to prevent losing as much coolant as possible. And I'm going to drain the radiator into a clean container and hopefully be able to save all of that. That way I don't have to go spend another 40 or 50 bucks on coolant. So yeah, I'm gonna try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we'll see what happens. First up, I'm gonna try to get this oil cooler unbolted from my radiator. Hopefully that's not an issue, because these are really difficult to find, and when you can find them, they're extremely expensive, which this one's been kind of questionable anyways, but I don't want to push my luck with it. Okay, about 20 minutes or so in, got the fan shroud pulled out of the way, got the radiator unclamped, upper hose pulled off and tucked up out of the way, oil cooler disconnected from the top of the radiator. I've got this hose here clamped off. I've got the lower radiator hose clamped off, and the radiator completely drained, yet the tank's still full. So far the plan to save as much coolant as possible is working, but not done yet, so we'll see how it goes. Just gotta get down here, disconnect this last transmission cooler line, and see how the bottom of the oil cooler is mounted, and that should be it. Once that's done, the radiator should pull straight up, and I can drop the new one in, get it hooked back up. Everything looks good. Looks packaged really well. Usually, I order a lot of parts from Pelican Parts as far as European car parts goes. This and the other stuff that I just got in for this came from, I believe it's called FCP Euro. They had great prices on everything, and no, this isn't some paid advertisement for them, but yeah, had great prices. Free shipping, had it here in a couple days. Can't complain. This was the cheapest price I could find on the radiator. It was about $50 or $60 cheaper than everywhere else for the same part number. But, yeah, looks good. Looks like it's got everything. I don't see any damage from shipping. I don't see the rubber isolators, so I'm gonna have to pull those off the original radiator. That's not a big deal, but yeah, looks good to go. While I'm here, I'm going to remove the Gates thermostat that's in there, and just for the sake of doing it, I'm going to install an OEM thermostat for it. So, might seem like a waste, but, and heck, who knows, it might be. But I want the problem fixed, and I don't feel like doing it again. So, I'm going to tear it out. We'll go on and get this one set up how it's supposed to be. See, one thing about the Gates, this one has an arrow on it, which I kept reading about, but the Gates didn't have one on it. So this arrow is supposed to point up. I'm not sure why it's important, but it apparently puts this crossbar horizontal in the thermostat housing. So I'm gonna go on and set this one up how it should be, and swap them out, send that Gates one back, and yeah, go from there. we got it all buttoned up again. So got the new radiator put in, got the new temperature sensor put in, got the OEM thermostat put in it, and everything's filled back up. So I'm gonna take it for a little bit of a drive and see how it does. Yeah, but I think hopefully that should cover it. So yeah, we'll see. Well, it looks like we've got it figured out. Took it for a good run down the highway, and didn't have any issues. Probably drove 15-20 miles, something like that, and had her up cruising around 70, which usually would push it over 100 degrees Celsius on the gauge anyways. And yeah, it didn't much budge over 82, 85 the whole time, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. It's running great, staying cool, can't ask for much more. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and we appreciate you watching.